like to open the regular village board meeting for the village of Shorewood on January the 28th in the year 2020. Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Anderson.
Here.
Brockman.
Here.
DeBold.
Here.
Kirkland.
Here.
Luciano.
Here.
Warren.
Here.
Mayor Chapman.
Here. Okay. Are there any citizens that would like to address the board tonight? You know, is anybody else showing up? Okay, all right. Okay. We'll make some allowances later. Okay. Other than that, that's a mistake. He never brings that thing in. See the power off on that?
It didn't
Boot
shut
it
off.
up. Okay. So if there's nobody that wishes to address the village board tonight, we'll move on to tonight's consent agenda. I'd like to table 1, 2, 3 off of the consent agenda. If there's, the clerk didn't get those minutes in yet, and she's off on vacation, so we need to get 1, 2, and 3 off. If there are no exceptions to that, I'll move on to number 4 for the consent. Approval of accounts payable in the amount of $173,582.68. Number 5, approval of a payment in the amount of $48,192 to Core and Main for water meters. Number 6, approval of a payment in the amount of $16,694 to Daltmeyer for salt brine applicator. And finally, approval of a payment in the amount of $429,500 to Standard Equipment Company for a 2020 Peterbilt 348 Vector truck. Are there any items on tonight's consent agenda a trustee would like removed for further review, or are there any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda with items 1, 2, and 3 being excluded.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Anderson.
Yes.
Brockman.
Yes.
DeBold.
Yes.
Kirkland.
Yes.
Luciano.
Yes.
Warren.
Yes.
Consent agenda stands approved as amended. Move on to reports and communications. Tony, any communications for the board?
No, there's not.
Okay. I have no proclamations. I have no report. So I'd like to move on to our order of business for tonight. Business item number 1. Consideration for approval of a bid award to PT Farrow Construction Company for the Black Road at Shorewood Drive signalization and authorization by the mayor to execute the contract. This is Mr. Gray and Mr. Welsh.
Thank you, Mayor. Brian will go through the bid and the recommendation.
Thank you. We opened bids on January 17th and received 2 bids for this project. The low bid was by PT Farrow in the amount of $641,744.50. PT Fair has done a lot of work in the village, and we have a good relationship with them, so there are no issues with them being able to complete this work. The schedule that was in the contract calls for substantial completion to be met by July 31st so that it can be done before school's back open. And then final restoration and punch list to be done by the end of September. So the recommendation would be to approve the construction contract with PT Farrow.
I can add that I've met with Ken and Carrie, the residents that brought some concern to us, explained the scope of work, went through the detail, and felt like we had a very positive meeting when we last talked.
Okay. It's the only time we're gonna address this issue. Anything that you'd like to? Is there anything you'd like to say to the board? Because we're not gonna address this again, okay? Tonight, so. If those meetings were satisfactory to you, and you know I'm gonna be watching, okay?
Well, if it's okay that I interject something,
Yes, fact is, I'm asking you to, okay? We need to get it all out on the table, okay?
well, I personally am not actually understand exactly what the traffic situation is gonna be like when they install the stoplights. Now, Kerry told me he was gonna show up, pretty soon. But, he's totally against the stoplights. Myself, I don't know if it's gonna benefit or, create more of a problem with the traffic going southbound on Shorewood Drive. When that light turns red during school hours, say, between 8 and 8:30 or in the afternoon, whatever, if that stoplight is as long as the one at Home Depot, that traffic's going to be backed up darn near to Burton Boulevard. At that, or at least up to the school anyway. This morning, without a light, I sat there for about 5 minutes waiting to because the traffic coming in off of Black Road, plus the traffic going south on Shorewood Drive, everybody going to the school, it was just horrendous, actually. But I can always back out and go north on Shorewood Drive to Burton and come back over to 59. But I don't know if it's going to be advantageous for the light to really be there, and again, saving the village money by not installing a light. Just have that right-hand turn lane on Shorewood Drive to where they can go west on Black, or I'm really undecided. I don't know what the conditions are going to be like if they do install a light. Now, like I said, Kerry's against the light, but then again, he's not fighting the traffic that I am. They're on, they're on the corner. So I'm really undecided whether or not it'd be beneficial to me or not.
Okay.
So,
Hey, sorry, I'm late. Kerry Turlip, 632 Shorewood Drive. I'm against the light, as a handful of you know. Respective of everybody in this room that decides why or why not we do get a light. As it goes through, if it does, Chris has been fantastic to talk to us. We really want a lot of input on the additional light that would be on the south side of the road, right on my corner in my yard, okay? to have direct lighting down, not glowing into our bedrooms. This weekend, I was talking to my other neighbors that are far enough away that don't want the light, but really can't be involved. They're elderly. The lights that are used, green, yellow, and red, they could be LED and not send a big glow down the streets, down the thing. We want a lot of serious input, understanding you want to match all the poles up and down the street, but we just want less of a glow, not feel like we live at O'Hare Airport.
Gotcha.
Try to keep it quiet and nice. So I still don't think it warrants the light to go in due to traffic. You guys discussed it, you get to vote on it, I have to respect that it passes.
Right.
That's where I'm at.
If you don't mind me saying so, I believe it's a pretty well done deal, that the lights are gonna go in, and like I say, I don't know whether or not it's gonna benefit me or be more of a hassle for me to get in and out of my drive. But, like I said, I won't know until it's done,
Yeah.
you know?
Can the lights be adjusted for certain times of the day, right? To adjust quickness in and out to hopefully alleviate the issue you're having currently? So if they
sorry,
can
sir?
adjust, they can adjust the lights,
The traffic signal.
the
light.
traffic signal lights.
Right.
To accommodate that time frame.
For
that
the
you're-
timing,
that-
yeah.
So that it's not that long of a red light
Well,
anymore. That would back up to Verton Boulevard and stuff.
as long as, if they could, just put out a sign that says, like the westbound traffic on Black Road, no right turn on red. Because at least that would give me a chance to back out and go north on Shorewood Drive instead of having to wait for all the I mean, believe me, in the mornings, and I usually get home later in the day where the after-school traffic is, is cleared up. But in the mornings, I just sit there in my driveway waiting for, and nobody will give you a break. It's just like, excuse the language, it's a pain in the ass, But if they could say on the westbound traffic on Black, no right turn on red, that'd be beneficial. That way I could back out and go north on Shorewood Drive up to Verton and come back over to 59. So, but that's the only problem I've got with the light. Carrie has other ideas, about the glare and the light and so on and so forth. And it's only 2 people out of the village that's arguing this point. So whether or not that makes any difference or not, I really don't know.
What do we have to address the issues about the light, the brightness of the lights?
So the lights are all gonna be LED, both the signals and the street lights are gonna be LED, so similar to
Right.
we put the intersection and the US 52
But,
River intersection.
but how are they gonna be dimmed down so his concern is addressed?
They're not gonna be dimmed. They are typically cut off so that the light doesn't spill onto private property, but one thing that has changed since we last met, and it was partially in response to one question some of you asked, was that we got rid of the individual light poles that was at the southwest corner. I think there was one at the northwest corner as well. Those now are gonna be mounted to the signal poles, so there's 2 less poles that are gonna be out there. There's not gonna be a pole at the southwest corner sitting by itself either, so.
So, I've been with a franchise, a business since '92, and we built 2 new stores. And the people around us, we've made much consideration around the lights to shadow so it doesn't go into their yards. We probably dealt with it at the Dodge store and all that stuff. So that's really, LED lighting is great, saves energy, lasts longer, costs less. Totally agree, totally agree. Just trying to keep it less glare. So knowing that the light just at Home Depot is a standard light. Is that light different than what we would get at this corner.
The lights you have up and down Black Road right now existing are exactly what it would be. Go down River Road, same thing. The bleed over that Brian's mentioning, you're not getting that back into the yards as far. Like the light in your front yard is 360 degrees, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, and I hate that light.
Right, so that gets eliminated
Why
in
you
this
guys can't
project.
spend so much money to keep putting it up, I don't know.
It's
but
not
that's
our
okay.
light.
No, I know.
Comments?
So that's really what I'm asking is, I feel a little defeated, is what it is. Our great community, I've lived here a long time, I grew up around here. Life has to go on. I would just like the landscaping in my yard, whatever they gotta tear up to be fixed exquisitely. He feels the same way. The lighting, whatever we could do to tone it down. I did look at some other towns and counties around the country, and maybe that's for you and I to discuss, because I still think the lights around here still have a big glow. So I wanna work on that.
I would challenge the way that the photometrics are done in Shorewood. If you go down Route 59, you can tell when we transition to Joliet. I think the engineering that we get from Christopher Burke, they're able to look and analyze the roadways and make sure that they're not bleeding into people's front yards. If it is, it's minimal to what it could be if we didn't have some design specifications that said, this light goes to this pole. Certain traffic signals in an intersection, you have to have enough lighting to meet a certain standard.
Okay, and that's what I'll work with you. If you guys vote it in, hopefully you don't, I really want some heavy consideration to make it the least disruptive for the neighborhood. The renters across me, they don't care. They give a hoot, okay? Alden, they don't care. They don't even recognize it, so we're the only two.
That's it.
Dick to the east of me, he can barely get out of bed and get here, but same thing, he's got property value, I have property value to worry about. I need to not to feel like a landing pad.
But Chris, the light he's referring, the 360 light, that's gonna be gone, right?
It's gonna be gone. It's
So
the
that
common
should
light.
help initially
Right.
too, because
Yeah,
that's
and
gonna
that,
be gone.
and I agree with that, so even
Would be
if
whatever
we-
bleed off he's currently getting on Black Road, because Black Road would be pretty much what it would resemble.
Right.
Yeah, and the LEDs that are across are beautiful, it looks great, I think it lights it up wonderfully. Okay, they're not that like yellow glow, they're nice and clear, love it. I just don't need it coming past the sidewalk. That's
Chris
the-
or Brian, after this project, if it gets approved and up and running, the site, is there a chance, if there's an issue, can we put a shield on, I guess it would be the east side of the light, to block the bleed over into his property?
Well, I mean, all the lights that we have are recessed into the fixture already.
Yeah.
So there's already that intent so that we start that way. And as long as the angle of the lens is installed correctly, it should be minimal.
Okay.
Yes, if you're looking at it from here.
But just in
like we're
case, I
looking
mean,
at-
is there a piece that could be made or ordered that we could put on that light head to block the light to bleed over into his front yard?
There probably is, we would just, the main thing that we have to make sure is we're required to light the intersection to certain levels, and we wouldn't be able to sacrifice
Well,
that.
but I don't think it would if we want to block it from going to the east where his house is, right? Am I on the right side, or would it be on the south?
I'm on the south side.
South,
So
okay.
the LED lights that were put up a few years ago are beautiful, gorgeous, but they are bright, okay? They still need some toning down. I don't think I could fight it, but that's not the fight I'm here for now. So, thank you, number one. That's the big deal, because even cars nowadays, you could have your brights on, you go down a dark road, and there's a single light on a farm road, the headlights dim down, they look away. So, car lights don't do that, okay? I grow bushes in front of my house and actually don't like the landscape in front of my house just to block the noise. So now I have to deal with heavy braking noise and heavy acceleration noise right in front of my house. That's gonna be the real killer, is the light and the noise,
Yeah.
So, as I said in an earlier meeting, maybe I didn't fight hard enough. If there's a better solution to try something first, I understand the scape of the road. I understand the engineering, the problem that's caused. That's where I'm at.
And as long as our property is put back, or what word am I looking for, Kerry?
The landscaping is
the-
done. Your
the-
house is your lawn
Well,
is beautiful.
no,
Okay.
No,
it's
besides that,
everything.
even yours that has been messed up
Multiple
for so many times
yeah.
and, you know, over the years, and nobody's rectified the problem. So as long as, once it's said and done, everything goes back to way, if not better than the way it is now.
Correct, correct.
Isn't
And-
that part of what the requirements would be of the construction, that they restore everything in as good or better?
And Chris has been great to
He
say,
has.
hey, he's gonna look out for us, and he will.
Oh, one other question. Was part of that study for a no turn on red? I don't remember offhand.
That, I don't believe that's,
No, that was not in the study.
no, but I don't think that's at all a concern. It's
That's
our
what I'm
local
wondering.
road, we can
That's what I
put that
wanted.
up on that.
Right.
And I
Going
think the
north and south.
I was
combination,
worried maybe too much backup on 50, on Black then, if you had that. I don't know, that's what I'm asking.
I don't think it would. We can talk about it a little bit, but that was one of the things when I met with Ken and Carrie is, there was concern about that, and I think that's an easy solution, put a sign up and move on. I think a lot of the concern you mentioned initially is addressed with that signal, as long as people are stopping there on red.
Right.
And then having people stacking in two different lanes going south is gonna help you with your driveway potentially. There is still an outstanding item. I've gotta work with, Ken on, the permanent easement we need for the signal. We talked about that last week when we met, so that'll be
So-
coming back to you.
Unfortunately, Theodore is not going totally east-west. Joliet will never probably pay for that, and that probably should be done, but, you know, that's why we have so much traffic, and you educated me a lot, Chris, that most of that traffic's Joliet traffic coming down Black Road. And the idea, years ago, when Verton was put in, people would take Verton to 59 and use that light.
Because right now, what do you got? You got Black Road and Caton Farm Road, or Jefferson. But most of the people are, there's no other way going, whatever direction I'm looking at here.
East-west.
East and west, except for Black Road and Caton Farm. You know,
So the money you're spending is a whole lot of money, I understand it. Chris has explained, you guys understand the budget, you work with it, you deal with it, your local community people. I think it's gonna go over your budget to put a stoplight in for a school and a couple people that live in that neighborhood. Talk to my neighbors that lives south of Black Road, yeah, it backs up a little bit, it's not that bad. So for 8 months out of the year, that it
and a
backs way up.
couple hours.
Couple hours of the day. You know, I understand your survey, I respect it. I think you should have done it for a lot longer, like for weeks, days on end. I disagree with it. They have the information, you have the information.
It would save the village and everybody a ton of money if they did not do the lights. To me, again, I don't know if it's gonna be beneficial or not beneficial.
You know, I know you guys are frustrated with this, but the thing is, it's not just for now, but it's for the future too. I mean,
Correct.
And I sat with Rick, and he's been very gracious and explained that to me.
Yeah.
I get the big, long picture in the business. So,
And then again, if, sorry to interrupt, but if, Mr. Burton's farm, or whatever you wanna call it, the house and all that, goes to commercial, that's gonna create more traffic there on Black and coming up, you know, in and off of Shorewood Drive and so on. You know, the property I'm talking about there. So who knows what's gonna happen with that property, which, again, we're just increasing more, I guess what you call, progress, but it creates more traffic and more more headaches for both Carrie and I. But again, for the village, I appreciate your time to listen to us. It's only 2 people out of the whole village that's, you know,
Yeah,
creating a
there are,
problem.
there's others, but they're older and they're far enough away that in the information I got, they're more than X 125 feet away. So, if it happens, respect why it happens, and if it does, we want you to really do a nice project, Chris, make it awesome, and make us happy or whole, however, whatever term you want to use nowadays, so, thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate
You
your time.
guys. Okay, any other questions for engineering or public works? If not, I'll entertain a motion to consider the approval of a bid award to PT Farrell Construction for Black Road and Shorewood Drive signalization and authorization for the mayor to execute the contract.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Tony, roll call, please.
Brockman,
Yes.
DeBold,
Yes.
Kirkland,
Yes.
Luciano.
Yes.
Warren,
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
The project is approved. And just one final word for you two. I know what a pain this has been for you. If the project was gonna move any way to correct the roads that were there, and we didn't do the signalization at this time, and then we had to come back 3 years from now and do the signalization, the cost would double. Now, sometimes that's good, you find out you don't need it. But there's another thing, I've never seen a place where we've installed signalization yet, or stop signs yet, to where it wasn't needed. And sometimes it caused a problem. The other end of Brookshore Drive coming out onto 52, if you see the 2 homes there, they're really looking at a problem like you're looking at, Carrie. They back up across the driveway and impede them getting out. But I've never been there, and I go out there all the time. I've never been there when I've seen them really stuck in their driveway, okay? Now, maybe it's just timing on my part, but I've never seen it. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen to you, and if it does, we'll look into it and see if there's other things that we can do. Okay?
On my side, I agree with you there, because there should be a no left turn sign to anybody to turn north off that street.
Yeah, I got you.
And if we maybe had done that a while back at our corner, but we're missing. So, thank you.
Okay, well, again, number 1 stands approved. We're moving on to number 2. Consideration for approval of a proposal for construction engineering services by Christopher B. Burke, engineering for the Black Road and Shorewood Drive intersection improvements. Mr. Wells and Mr. Ray.
Thank you, Mayor. This is for the construction engineering services for Seabell. The services include observation during utility relocation, construction observation, the QA material testing, which is a good amount of the time on this project compared to some of the other, and then project closeout. So we want to make sure we looked at any need that we could foresee and ask Brian to provide an estimate for that. And this is the estimate here at $114,800.
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement between the Village of Shorewood and Christopher Burke not to exceed $114,800.
Second.
Tony, roll call, please.
DeBold,
Yes.
Kirkland,
Yes.
Luciano.
Yes.
Warren.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Brockman.
Yes. Agenda item number 2 stands approved. Moving on to number 3. Consideration for approval of a resolution adopting a complete streets policy. Mr. Gray.
Thank you, Mayor. Brian's here because if I miss a thing or two, but basically this helps us with federal and state funding, and it checks some boxes off that are there. It's things that we already do or get asked to do by the state. For example, when we were in the meetings for 52 and River, we needed to make sure we had pedestrian features, which is why we have a 102-foot bridge over the Hamel Creek over there at the intersection there. It asks us to make sure we're looking at ADA and bike and pedestrian access, maybe bike lanes and whatnot, and those are things that we kind of already work through. Again, this just is another checkbox on applications as we look for, additional funding that is above and beyond us, the state and federal. I think I summed it pretty decent, Brian. Is there
Yeah.
anything you want to add?
It's just, to sum it up, it's looking at all modes of transportation, all abilities and ages when you design and construct a roadway improvement. So not just vehicles, but bicyclists, pedestrians, transit, of all ages and abilities. So something we've already been doing, like Chris said, this just kind of formalizes our objective because it happens to, for one reason, or for one thing, it gets us points and when we apply for federal funds. But
Yeah, my thoughts, when I was reading this, my thoughts exactly, we're doing all this, and my conversation with Chris is the same thing. We're doing all this, they're emphasizing more on pedestrian-friendly and bicycle traffic, and I'm all for that, and I think it's good, but I don't think it's anything different that we're not already doing, so. I'll make a motion to approve the resolution adopting complete streets policy.
Second.
Tony, roll call, please.
Kirkland,
Yes.
Luciano,
Yes.
Warren.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Brockman.
Yes.
DeBolt.
Yes.
Agenda item number 3 stands approved. Moving on to number 4. Consideration for approval of an ordinance authorizing the execution of a master pole attachment agreement between the Village of Shorewood and Chicago SMSA Limited Partnership, DBA Verizon Wireless. This is up for a first read. Mr. Dre and Mr. Silver.
Thank you, Mayor. I think this is pretty much easily summed up as this is similar to the last agreement we just did the last board meeting. This is just for Verizon. There's some small little changes that are there that are really, that's more specific to Verizon than AT&T, which doesn't cause us any change. It complies with, everything we need to do to be in compliance with small cell and 5G and whatnot. I don't know if Dave wanted to add anything.
Not really. Essentially the same agreement that we had 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Any questions for Dave or Chris?
So just one, because I'm just curious again. If they have to extend it 10 foot above, are they gonna try to match the pole at least? I forgot about.
That's our understanding, is that they have to have an aesthetically similar pole, so they would have to go and
So they wouldn't replace
go to-
that pole and put a taller one up.
they would have to take that pole down.
They're not gonna attach anything.
No, they wouldn't be attached because the structural integrity of those poles don't allow for
Right.
10 foot added on top. So they have to get that designed and then provide us with one. And then I believe every 10 after that, they have to provide us with another one. So there's we're gonna be holding some poles if they go all out with the designer poles in town.
No, that's fine. I was just maybe reading it wrong then.
But they're
Because it
required to
says-
match what we have.
Right.
They have to get us into a similar style that would be accepted by us, yes.
Oh, accepted by us.
Right, because, we already have large poles, let's say on 52 and River. To go higher may not be the same
sorry, the
identical
10-foot
pole. It
one.
may have to change material, what have you. So
But
there's
as
gonna
long
have
as
to
the
be-
design
Attach
is the
something
same.
9 feet.
That is the intent, yes,
Okay.
is that they need to do that, and it has to be approved by the village.
Well, that says attachment. You might
That's
wanna
what I'm
ask for
saying.
clarity.
So that's why I'm trying to clarify. So page 5E, this is basically telling me attachment, right? Or am I reading this wrong?
So the question, so this talks about attachments to the pole
Right.
should not go over 10 feet.
Right.
Right, so they can add an attachment to our pole as long as it's not 10 feet.
Well, if it's structurally sound.
It's structurally sound.
Okay.
It's always got to be structurally sound.
Okay,
It's-
just
yeah,
making sure, because,
Yeah.
okay.
Right?
Every permit that I've done so far, I've done 4 of them, one on Black and 2 on River Road. And I can't remember where that fourth one was, but those have come the first round without a structural stamp provided. We requested that be added.
Okay.
So we're definitely making sure we have check marks checked on
No,
that.
I get it, I was just maybe, I wanted to make sure I understood that, because, okay.
Are those 4 that you approved, they're not, are you,
Those are on Commonwealth Edison poles.
Okay.
And they didn't come with anything, so whether or not they're our pole or not, they have to provide that before we permit it in town, because it's in our right of way.
I want to be clear on one thing too, so I know what I'm dealing with. Is this the precursor to 5G? Is this where the 5G pods are going to be installed?
From what we've been informed, yes.
Okay. We had some community up north, Dave, that they come in with a huge petition and against 5G coming to their community. Have you heard about this one?
No, I haven't, but I mean, what we're doing here is essentially reflecting what's required by state and federal law.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm just wondering,
I haven't heard about that petition to block 5G.
okay, it was pretty big. You hear about that?
That one I have not yet.
Yeah. That's,
If I hear something, I'll let you know, Mayor.
yeah, it was kind of like a Lenny's gas station attack, you know. So it was because of the health issues that come over social media about 5G signals throughout the
Right.
village.
We
I'll
sort of
fight.
went through that with cellular when it first came out, right, with the towers. and-
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, currently they don't
Couldn't put
really
your
know what
phone
the
to your ear.
radiation is gonna be. There is more radiation to it, but it's all in a distance thing, and they're not quite sure what that equals out to yet. That's why
Right.
they're saying 8 feet, has to be at least 8 feet and all that,
Off the ground.
yeah.
Just in case anybody gets questioned, yes, this is the start, okay? So, not like you get blindsided, not knowing that this is all about 5G, okay?
I'll make a motion to approve execution of a master pole attachment agreement between the village of Shorewood and the Chicago SMSA Limited Partnership, doing business as Verizon Wireless.
Second.
And waive the second read on that.
Waive the second.
Thank you.
Okay. Tony, roll call, please.
Luciano.
Yes.
Warren.
Yes,
Anderson.
Yes.
Brockman.
Yes.
DeBold.
Yes.
Kirkland.
Yes.
Agenda item number 4 stands approved. Moving on to number 5. Consideration for approval of an ordinance directing and authorizing the disposal of surplus property by the village of Shorewood. This is also up for a first read. Chief Klima and Mr. Dre.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll start. This is some old equipment that we have that's gone through its useful life. It's most likely already been replaced. Some of the smaller equipment in the upper part there, starting with the 2006 Honda pump. And then as we get down below, we are looking to auction off upon approval a 2013 Impala, an old Taurus, which is used in the detective unit right now for police department. We have a 2004 Explorer, which is going to be replaced by the van that was recently purchased. An old F-250 or 350, another Impala, and then the sewer VACON. We're anticipating the arrival of the new VACON the second week of February, so we want to make sure we could get authorization to send this out to auction and make sure we have the appropriate amount of room. So, Chief, I don't.
My stuff is the tasers. We talked about that with the contract we entered into taser, so we're sending the old devices back as part of that agreement.
we can't play with them or anything?
I think
can
we should
work
test
with-
them on trustee Warren to make sure their usefulness is
That
over
would,
with.
that would probably be more appropriate for the committee of the whole, though.
I make a motion to dispose of the surplus property.
Second.
Send it to auction.
Waive the second read.
Waive the second reading.
Thank you.
Okay. Who did the second? Okay. Tony, roll call, please.
Warren,
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Brockman,
Yes.
DeBold,
Yes.
Kirkland.
Yes.
Luciano.
Yes.
Get rid of it.
I could do that.
Okay. Moving on to our final business item for the regular meeting. Consideration for approval of an ordinance amending certain sections of the municipal code of the Village of Shorewood pertaining to cannabis use, sales, and possession. This is up for a first read. Chief and Attorney Silver.
So very simply, everybody knows the cannabis laws have changed. The ordinance changes you see before you bring everything into compliance so that we can enforce them. There's now a distinction between cannabis and other drugs, so those are the ordinances that you see before you. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
It just basically separates cannabis from everything else.
Correct. And then
Before
it
was
makes
all
a,
lumped together.
correct. And then the allowances that the statutes provide for its use in certain places and transportation.
It seems, and I'm just curious, it seems like everything here, if you're in violation, is just a fine.
Correct, because there are civil offenses. They're not,
And the last part where there's a $10 fee that we charge on page 8. The very last one.
ACT ticket?
well, that's the.
Is that just an
that-
administration fee to fill out papers?
So the last section is referring to the fines in general, in all fines. So what the statute, there are certain fines we have that are $10, but they're not for cannabis. The cannabis ones are articulated in the ordinances, and the language that was changed in that says that there are standard fees, and then unless otherwise noted in the ordinance. So the ordinances that relate to cannabis have the fines for the cannabis.
I was just, it
That's
just
just covering
seemed,
the administration.
The $10 fees are like for parking fines.
it just seemed funny that most of these, it's a $250 fine or $500 fine if I buy it for a minor. It seems like it's hardly a penalty at all.
Well, this gives the chief and the police department.
Yeah,
the
no, I'm
ability-
just,
yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with anything you
Yeah,
got there.
it gives them the
It's
ability to
just-
do it on a local ordinance. If there's a more serious case, then they'll go on state charges through the state's attorney's office.
Correct.
This is ordinance violation court, or more likely, administrative adjudication.
Correct.
Or administrative tickets.
No, I was just curious about that.
This is all language is it's basically mirroring the state law.
Exactly.
It gives us the ability to enforce it at a local level.
That's what I thought.
I'll make a motion amending the certain sections of the municipal code of Village of Shorewood pertaining to cannabis use, sales, and possession, and waive the second reading.
Second.
Okay. Tony, roll call, please.
Anderson.
Yes.
Brockman,
Yes.
DeBold,
Yes.
Kirkland.
Yes.
Luciano.
Yes.
Warren.
Okay, the ordinance has been amended. We'll move on to reports.
Yeah, because I was thinking of it.
Trustee Anderson, Public Works.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple things. We had a few snow callouts in the last 2 weeks, ice and snow, a little bit, minor things. Staff's been working on maintenance projects throughout the buildings of the village, Shorewood, mainly, upkeep and repairs. Tree trimming in Kipling Estates and Westminster Gardens continues, and then pothole repairs all through the village. That's it on Public Works. I do have Westcom report. We met week before last. We approved our budget, 8.5 million roughly is operating for Westcom. Village of Shorewood's for the police dispatch is 321,936 this year for 2020 and 2021, which comes out to 26,828 monthly. And again, that's based on call volume, police and fire, 75% police, 25% fire, so That's how there's a formula for that.
How does that compare to last year, do you know?
It goes up every year.
It's up?
Yeah, I think last year, if I have it here, yeah, I don't have it. But it's gone up. I mean, it's creeping up every year. I mean, I remember when it was 200, 250, now it's, 320. So it's getting up there. So, and the other thing is we had amendment to our bylaws at Westcom, updated, the basic thing was if we have a member that wants to leave, they're going to be responsible for any debt that is incurred while they were there. They'll still be responsible for anything left over if they're not a participating member anymore. So that's the big update upgrade or change in the bylaws, and that's all I really have. I do have a copy of the Westcom budget if anybody wants to see it in print here, or I can email it to you also.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Trustee Anderson? If not, Trustee Brockman, Planning and Zoning Commission.
Thank you, Mayor. I was informed this evening earlier that our February 5th meeting has been canceled. Everything that we thought was going to come together didn't come together, so February 5th has been canceled. That's my report. Thank you.
Okay, Trustee Kirkland, Parks and Recreation.
Thank you. Priority registration for the community garden is ongoing for people that had a garden in 2019. Registration for the community-wide garage sale is on the village website. The dates for the garage sale this year are April 24th and 25th. Excuse me. Upcoming events, February 8th is our Jump Fest. It's from 10 to 4 p.m. at the Walnut Trails Elementary. This is the same thing that we've been doing for several years now. Cost is $10 per jumper for a full 6 hours of jumping fun. The event will feature multiple different inflatables. Cash is taken at the door and concessions will be available for purchase at the event. We're also looking for volunteers to help us with manning all of these inflatables. Volunteers need to be 16 years of age and older due to regulations from the vendor. And if you're interested in volunteering, please call the Parks Department at 815-741-7710. That's my report.
Thank you. Trustee Luciano, Citizens Advisory Committee.
At our last Citizens Advisory Committee, we had 17 members attend. During the meeting, we had a discussion on recognition programs that the committee might want to discuss further. And I mentioned I would bring it to board because they're looking at possibly doing some things as far as coming up with recognition for different things in town. Also, possibly looking at some maybe scholarship programs or stuff like that. And also getting more involved in some of the community activities. So I just wanted to pass it on to the board. That's what we'll be discussing at the next meeting. We're probably going to want to get involved with Parks and Rec a little bit and talk about some things that how they can complement things there also, and maybe get involved in some of the Park and Recreation things on Thursday night during the summer. But again, it's open to discussion. I wanted to bring it up to you so you knew what we were talking about. The chief had mentioned that the village administrator was looking at something like that in our strategic planning thing that he's reviewing. So again, it's just just to mention to you, that's what we'll be discussing, and hope we're not going to be moving or bringing anything forward, just a discussion at this point to get some ideas. And Mr. Collado probably would be at the next meeting, and he can input some things that he would like to see them discuss. Our next meeting is going to be February 27th at 7 p.m. at the second floor at the Village Hall in the large conference room. And as always, if anyone knows anyone that's interested in getting involved with the committee, if they can contact any of the members who are listed on the website or myself, we'd appreciate it. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Sounds to me like a match made in heaven. Think it'll work. Okay. I'd like to entertain a motion to go into executive session for land acquisition, the purchase or lease of public property for the use of the village, and setting the price for the sale of real property owned by the village.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Tony, roll call, please.
Brockman. DeBold.
Yes.
Kirkland.
Yes.
Luciano.
Yes.
Warren.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Okay, after the session, we'll take a real small break and convene the cow meeting here after we adjourn the regular meeting. Okay. We are in executive session.